Welcome to the Explainer. There's one question that can pretty much make or break your entire business. And today, we're going to dive into why your most valuable asset isn't what you think it is. It's clarity. Okay, so here it is, the big test. Can you explain what you sell, who it's for, and exactly how much it costs, all in under 30 seconds? Be honest with yourself, because if the answer is no, you've got a much bigger problem than just a clumsy elevator pitch. Because here's a harsh reality our sources point to. Businesses that have muddy, unclear messaging, they see their conversion rates just plummet to below 2%. Just think about that for a second. For every 100 people who show up, 98 of them are walking away. And a lot of the time, it's just because they're confused. But, and this is the really good news, the flip side is incredibly powerful. Just look at the math. By simply moving from confusion to clarity, you can literally double your conversion rate. For a campaign with, say, 10,000 visitors, that's a difference of almost $19,000. In this explainer, we're going to show you exactly how to get there. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll unpack the high cost of confusion. Then we'll tackle that 30-second challenge. After that, we get practical, crafting a clear message and designing simple pricing. And finally, we'll look at the real payoff. All right, first up, let's really get to know the enemy here, confusion. And this isn't some fuzzy marketing idea, it's a real measurable leak that's draining cash right out of your business. There's actually a term for this, financial leakage. We're talking about 2 to 5% of your capital just vanishing every single year. It's like a slow, silent drip caused by all those small, totally preventable mistakes. A lost invoice here, a data entry error there, it all adds up. So, where's the money going? Well, it's a few things. Pricing issues, transaction errors, but the biggest culprit by far, system integration failures. That's just a fancy way of saying your different software tools aren't talking to each other correctly. In fact, these internal hiccups account for over 70% of the problem. It's a classic death by 1,000 paper cuts. And it's not just about the money. There's also what sources call an emotional tax. Get this, small business owners in the US lose an average of 33 working days a year just to stress. That's more than a full month of productivity, just gone, wiped out by the anxiety that comes from all this complexity and financial uncertainty. Okay, so we've seen how costly being unclear can be. Now let's flip it and talk about the standard you absolutely have to meet if you want to survive, let alone thrive. Research from some of the most successful crowdfunding campaigns out there is crystal clear on this. You have less than half a minute, we're talking 15 to 30 seconds, to grab someone's attention, tell them what you're about, and convince them to stick around. Any longer than that, and they're gone. And why is that window so incredibly small? Well, because look at what you're up against. On a platform like Kickstarter, you're competing with over 30,000 other active projects at any given moment. In that kind of noisy environment, clarity isn't just a nice to have, it is your single biggest competitive edge. Which of course brings us right back to that critical test. Can you explain your pricing in 30 seconds? Because if it's too complicated, if it takes too long, customers won't just be confused, they just won't buy. It really is that simple. Okay, we've spent enough time on the problem. Let's get into the solution. And it all starts with your core message, your value proposition. So how do you actually build one that works instantly? Well, it's a surprisingly simple 3-step blueprint. First, you have to nail your customer's biggest pain point. What's the one thing that really keeps them up at night? Second, quantify how you solve it. Don't just say it's better, say how much time or money they'll save. And third, just briefly explain your secret sauce, how you actually do it. And just look at the night and day difference this makes. It's a better battery. What does that even mean? It's totally useless. But it's a portable power bank that charges your laptop 3 times faster, saving you 90 minutes of downtime per day. Now that is a real, tangible benefit someone can immediately understand and picture in their own life. That is what sells. Now, once your message is that sharp, your pricing has to match it. Because a brilliant message that leads to a confusing pricing page is just a recipe for disaster. So let's walk through how to build a pricing plan that's simple and effective. Right, so this is really a team effort with 4 main steps. It starts with your finance people, who need to figure out the costs and set a target for your profit margins. Then it's over to the sales team to check out what the market is doing, and most importantly, test the pricing with actual real-life buyers. See, this isn't just pulling a number out of a hat, it's a real process. And if there's one major pitfall to avoid, it's this: complexity. Overly complicated contracts, pricing tiers that need a spreadsheet to figure out, they're absolute conversion killers. Why? Because simplicity builds trust. If people can't understand what they're paying for, they just won't pay for it. Period. So, why are we obsessing over all of this? Over a 30-second pitch? Well, let's bring it all home and look at the real, tangible, bottom line financial payoff you get from achieving this kind of clarity. I mean, the data just speaks for itself. A sharp, clear value proposition can take your conversion rate from a painful 1.5% to a really healthy 3% or even more. Think about that. You're literally doubling your effectiveness without spending a single extra cent on advertising. And let's put a hard number on that. On a campaign with 10,000 visitors and $125 average pledge, that one change, just clarifying your message, is worth almost $19,000. Clarity isn't just about good communication, it pays, literally. So the takeaway here couldn't be clearer. Every single second you spend refining your message is a direct investment in your own success. The clock is ticking. What are you going to say? Thanks for joining this explainer.